Hey, everybody, this is Joe Delero, and welcome to another episode of the Cash That podcast. Producer Corey is in studio today, but once again, this podcast is brought to you by our good friends Props.cash. They are the best in the business. You can check out some of their new tools as well, but it's absolutely instrumental for betting on player props. You need to get this prop, you need to get this tool that kind of helps you determine whether or not a play is going to be one that you want to dive into. Maybe it's one that you want to avoid. Maybe it's one that you actually want to play an under on. And I know that that always is a little bit scary for some people, but when you have the right tools and you have the right analysis and you have the right process, that's something that you can get from props.cash to kind of help you along with this. One of their newest tools is one that I really am obsessed with. Is they have this new tool called Actual Line, and you can see where the player's prop line has progressed over the course of the season, over the past couple of games. And then that can kind of help you determine, it's like, oh, like, is this line a little low? Like, I wonder why. Like, is this line a little high? Like, how is this line moved? Am I still getting the right value here? Those are all things that you want to kind of take a look at. And it's super important when you're betting on player props. And props.cash is the best in the business. They are the industry standard. You can get your first month off with 25% off with code DELERA25. So that's for props.cash. And it is absolutely a tool that you need to have in your portfolio. All right. So producer Corey, how are we feeling? We got Tommy Cutlets over there. He got us a win. How you feel?
I feel like we forgot what we were supposed to be doing.
Tanking.
Yeah, I thought everybody was talking about draft picks 3 weeks ago, and now, well, that's out the window, and people are doing weird, fun math to try to keep us like relevant, and that's stupid.
No, I know. It's definitely funny. I mean, like, I know we always start and we talk about a little bit of the Giants. So it's definitely an interesting situation. I wonder if he's going to, like, how much sauce he's going to make this weekend when he's at home, because the
He's not
Giants are
making
off
shit,
this
dude. It's
week.
his mother.
Well, he's gonna taste
You
it.
know that.
Is there anything better than, like, I think you always need to buy, like, this? I guess this is a preemptive pods and Rex, but, like, you got to buy the second loaf of bread because you know that one of them is always going to be eaten throughout the process of, like, tasting the sauce to make sure that
It's
it's
how you
cooked right over the
sample.
course
Yeah,
of the day. Yeah, all day. You get a little meatball
right
in
off the
there, like,
spoon. Right off the spoon
yeah.
doesn't give you everything. It needs to be on bread.
No, it's absolutely peak. So those are those
Some
are
kind of
definitely.
balance issue. I don't know.
It doesn't it's like it's two in a vacuum when it's on the spoon. Like, I need to taste it
Right.
on something. So I'm like, I'm not gonna just eat plain sauce. Like, I gotta have it
Exactly.
with something. So I think it
Although I
makes.
will resort to that towards the end of the bowl or
Oh,
plate.
sometimes. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Like, I'm not gonna discriminate. I'm not gonna leave any
Had there
fallen
been a spoon next
soldiers.
to me, I would have finished it off like that.
Exactly. Um, So we're going to dive into this NBA slate, and I'll give you my best bets, obviously. But I wanted to touch on the fact that the in-season tournament we're recording right now, the Knicks and the Bucks just advanced, and we kind of have a picture of what are some of these matchups going to be. So the East quarterfinals are going to be the Knicks at the Bucks and the Celtics at the Pacers, and then one West quarterfinal is set right now at the time of this recording, and that's Suns at Lakers. Some of these other games are still going to be in flux, and that's going to keep us there. And, like, we're going to have to try to figure out exactly who is playing who in the West for that last quarterfinal spot. But we'll kind of get into that. I'll be sending out some tweets. I'll be talking about some of the plays that I think are important. Um, Obviously, those games are going to matter. You've heard at this point, too, I think that these teams will start treating those games a little bit more competitively, or so to speak. Um, I'm definitely going to be talking about the Monday games on the Monday episode of Buckets. So you guys are going to want to tune in there. We record that on Sunday nights going into Monday. We'll definitely have some lines out early, too, because there's no Sunday games this week in the NBA. That's because they didn't know what the schedule was going to be like. They didn't know where these teams were going to be playing, where these teams were going to be going. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. And we should probably be getting lines early. I'm hoping we're going to get lines maybe Saturday night, maybe Sunday. But we'll try to figure it out, and we'll try to get you the best content as soon as possible to kind of get you in, like, get ready for those games and understand what the concept is, understand what the format is. But definitely very exciting. I like the in-season tournament. I think it was relatively, like, a success so far anyway. And we'll just kind of have to see how it goes moving forward. But when we're talking about this Wednesday NBA slate, we have some really cool games actually coming up. And a couple of those spots are ones that I wanted to talk about. The first of which is the Phoenix Suns versus the Toronto Raptors. The Suns are 1 point road favorites, but the thing that's, or road, yeah, road favorites actually. The Raptors are on the back end of a back to back. And the Suns don't. This is not a back-to-back game for them. This is the first game that they're going to have played in a couple days, and I like this spot for the Suns at -1. I know that Kevin Durant may or may not play, but either way, I think that Devin Booker should have enough firepower to kind of take care of this Toronto Raptors team. When we're looking at these teams over the course of the entire season, Phoenix has been. Phoenix has just been flat out better. Phoenix is ninth in adjusted net rating at plus 2.3, whereas Toronto is 21st at minus 0.5. So I think that this line is going to wind up being on the move. It could only go towards Phoenix if they do wind up getting Kevin Durant and he's able to play. Additionally, given the fact that it's a back-to-back, maybe we miss a couple guys for the Raptors after they kind of played a tough game against the Brooklyn Nets and fell, and they were unable to keep their success, any type of success in the in-season tournament. So I'll definitely be looking at some props there. Additionally, if Kevin Durant is able to play, I'm going to continue looking at Devin Booker assists. I think that's still like a great line. I think it's a little bit undervalued. We don't have a spot for it just yet, but it's definitely something that I'll be kind of keeping an eye on for. Another game that's definitely interesting, and I think this is really there's actually like three like marquee games, I would say, on the Wednesday slate. One of which is the Philadelphia 76ers on the road as 1 point favorites, again, against the New Orleans Pelicans. I think the Philadelphia 76ers are really fucking good. I think they're a damn good team this year. And I'm probably going to be backing them in this spot on the road as a road favorite. And in large part, it's due to the fact that I think that Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, that combination of players has been exceptional. Additionally, like they just dismantled the Lakers the other day, and the Lakers are low key, like kind of fraudulent. They're 10-8. They're 4-0 in the in-season tournament, but I don't love like what I'm seeing from them so far this season. Philadelphia is second in adjusted net rating, number one adjusted offensive rating as of the time of this recording. So that's tremendously impressive. And they're sixth in defense. I know that CJ McCollum might play in the spot for the Pelicans. We'll see. He said that he was going to play. We'll see what type of minutes limit there may or may not be. That's going to obviously impact the usage of guys like Brandon Ingram, Jose Alvarado, maybe a little bit of the facilitating from Zion, and I think it's definitely going to cut into a lot of the playing time for rookie Jordan Hawkins. McCollum obviously improves their depth. I don't know to what extent at this stage in his career, like with what we're seeing with some of his defensive deficiencies, or so to speak, I don't know if how much that's really helping them in the spot. I think McCollum's obviously a great player, but I still think that Philadelphia has an edge here, especially from what we've been able to see from guys like DeAnthony Melton and Tyrese Maxey. So I really like Philadelphia on the road here, and neither team has played on Tuesday, so they should have relatively fresh legs. But one of the things that Philadelphia is able to do is obviously they have the size with Joel Embiid to kind of bang on the interior. And when we look at Embiid's history versus Valanciunas, he's had some interesting games. Like he's had a couple like down games, but like one of which he only played like 16 minutes. Another game he only played 26. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that like Valanciunas does like a decent job of getting Embiid in foul trouble. But now that, Embiid MVP, we know like kind of how the whistle kind of has gone for him. I think this is going to be a much better matchup for him. In his last two games against Valanciunas, he scored 42 and 37 points in those matchups. So I think that this is definitely a spot where, we might want to look at Joel Embiid. His points line is at 32 and a half. His assist line is at 6.5. And I think that when we look at just how good he's been against Valanciunas over the last couple games too, he's had numerous games at 5 assists. So I think that maybe you can water this down and maybe get like a 30.5 assist type of game. But to be honest with you, I think that I'd be comfortable laying 31.5, 32.5 points with Embiid in this particular matchup, given the fact that I think he's going to generate so much offense. He's had multiple games against Valanciunas in their head-to-head matchups where he's put up these monster scoring performances. And I know that the margins are obviously a little bit smaller, a little bit thinner, but it's definitely a spot where I think, this could be a good scoring opportunity for him. Additionally, it's a relative pace up spot. Philadelphia plays at the 16th pace in the league, whereas New Orleans plays at the 10th. So we should see a lot of possessions here, and I do like the matchup for Joel Embiid. Um, the next game that I'm particularly interested in on the Wednesday slate is and the line just popped. It is the Denver Nuggets against the Houston Rockets. And I'm going to be betting right now. I'm literally betting it as we're recording this. I'm betting the Denver Nuggets -3.5 against the Houston Rockets. The Rockets are on a back end of a back to back. They just, what did they do here? Let me tell you. The Rockets are, this is interesting. This line popped. The Rockets are tied right now, 92-92 against the Dallas Mavericks. If the Rockets win, they will actually oust the Pelicans from the in-season tournament, and they will take that spot. Regardless of the circumstance, this is an absolute letdown game for the Houston Rockets. And it's a spot where I think that Denver is really just going to take it to them. Denver has played them. The Rockets have played obviously pretty well against Denver. One of the things that I noticed, and I'm curious to see, is like a couple days ago, the Rockets just absolutely took it to the Nuggets, and they've actually won 2 matchups against the Nuggets over the past so far this season on 11-24 and on 11-12. This is kind of one of those spots where I think Denver, given the schedule spot, given the fact that they've had those couple losses, really just comes out firing and puts some work onto the Houston Rockets. Additionally, over the course of the season, when we look at this, Denver, they're 4th in adjusted net rating, plus 4.1. Houston's been good. They're 8-6 at the time of the recording, but they're minus 0.1. So I think it's a spot where it's a bad situational spot for the Rockets. But additionally, from a matchup perspective, Sengun has had absolutely no success stopping Jokic. And in the 2 games this season, Jokic has 36 points, 21 rebounds, and 11 assists as a triple-double. And then the other game, he had 38 points, 19 boards, and 8 assists. So we're going to be betting some crazy Jokic numbers. We should probably get a good line here. I'll see if they have anything popped right now. Nothing yet. But I'm very comfortable laying the 4 points in this spot with Denver at home, whereas both of the last games were in Houston. So this is going to be a back-to-back for the Houston Rockets. They have to go to Denver, which is a very tough place to play. And I think that Jokic is not going to let this happen. Jokic is not going to have the Denver Nuggets lose more than 2 games to the Houston Rockets over the course of the season. So I really, really like the Denver Nuggets at -3.5 against the Houston Rockets. This is absolutely a must play for me. And I'll definitely be looking at Jokic props, probably his PR and maybe a little bit of triple double. We'll see kind of where those lines come out. But those are the 2 spots that I would lean for in this matchup. The final game that I think is particularly interesting is the Los Angeles Clippers against the Sacramento Kings. And the Kings are going to be in a similar situation where they are going to have, it's like a little bit of a letdown game after playing the Golden State Warriors in a matchup to see who would advance into the next round of the in-season tournament. This is a tougher matchup for the Kings. the Rocket or the Clippers now, with James Harden obviously leading them at the point guard position instead of Russell Westbrook. The thing that this is kind of creating, and what the Clippers can do, is the Clippers are going to be able to switch on a lot of what they can do, and it's switch and attack some of the deficiencies in the Kings defense, right? So right now they're still missing Keegan Murray. We'll see if Keegan Murray plays against the Clippers. I doubt it, given the fact that he was doubtful against the Warriors as well. Um, what that kind of does is it changes the size of the players that they have on the perimeter. So you're leaning a lot more on Chris Duarte. You're leaning a lot more on Kevin Herter. Those guys not traditionally like defensive stalwarts, right? Those are some spots that are weak spots for the Kings. And those are spots where the Clippers have a ton of strength between Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Norman Powell. They're really able to attack you on the wing, attack you on the perimeter. And I think that the Sabonis Zubac matchup is actually a little bit more even than you would think, just based on the size. They both kind of play that like European style of basketball. They're familiar with each other. They're comfortable with each other, and they've like Sabonis has played well, but he hasn't played to the level that you would kind of expect him to play against a guy like Zubac. Like you would think that he would have better performances. And while he can score, he's only scored 20 points twice against Zubac in 9 games against him. And the most recent game, he scored 24 back on December 3rd of 2022. So it has been a little bit of time since they played each other. It's basically been a full year. And that's all we really have to work off of between these two guys playing head to head in the regular season anyway. As a whole, though, I think that the Kings are a better team than the Clippers, but I'm a little hesitant to bet on it just given the spot. They're close in adjusted net rating. I think the Clippers have kind of started to figure things out a little bit, and it's definitely made them a little bit different to game plan for. So, given the fact that it's a back to back for the Kings, given the fact that it's an emotional kind of get down for the Kings, and the Clippers have kind of started to figure it out, I'm uncomfortable laying points either way on this game. And it's probably a game that I might just watch as a fan and just try to enjoy it and see exactly where we can go from there. But if I did have to play a prop, I would probably look at something with De'Aaron Fox. I think that it's a relatively good matchup for him with James Harden kind of on the perimeter. It's a guy that he should have a significant speed advantage against overall throughout the course of this game. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about like on this podcast is it's a little bit of a pivot, right? So a lot of times we talk about like trying to find value and whether or not like we want to give out edges or something like that. And I think that when I tell you guys like what my process is, like when I try to talk about like what my plays are, I really try to give you exactly what I'm thinking about, exactly like what my process is, exactly how I'm coming to these solutions, how I'm coming to these types of scenarios or these types of bets. And I think that it's important to do that for a number of different reasons. Number one, sometimes like I do have to put out a play and I'm like, I don't have time to put this play out. Like I don't have time to write the analysis because I think this is going to move. And I hope that like if you see it, you can trust the fact that because I've been so transparent, you have something to go off of. You're like, oh, like I know his process is good. Like he wouldn't have put this play out had he not really felt that way, or had he not done the research behind it or something like that, right? So that's one thing. Second thing is I try to explain the process to you as best as I can, because sometimes like there can obviously be flaws in my process. I could be looking at things like incorrectly. I could be having an issue with something, right? And I think that if you guys know how I'm capping it or like how I'm looking at it, then that can kind of change the scenario too, right? So like if maybe you guys can reach out to me and say like, I think that this is going on, or like this is wrong, or this is right. And it kind of builds a little bit of a sense of community. Additionally, I hope that the way that I kind of process my props and the way that I'm looking at things and the way that I'm looking at spreads or looking at numbers, whatever, I think that I try to make you guys better betters, and by doing so, I think that kind of helps create that type of community where, like, if you like something, then you reach out to me and I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a good play, or we can bounce some ideas off each other. Like, I don't think that I'm above that or anything. Like, I like talking about it. I like going into it. And I think that's one of the most important things here, because I think that there are certain edges, right? Like, if you have like proprietary information, or like information that's not like publicly disclosed about like players or about coaching or about situations, right? Then like that's one thing. Like, if you're saying like, I can't really put this out there, um, I'm not like so worried that a book is going to say like, all right, like we're going to go listen to the Cash App podcast. And we're going to change the entire way that we book a game. Like, it's like, okay, like these bookmakers are smart. Like, they should know these things. Like, I don't think that we're coming up with edges that are like dramatically different than what's already available, or like what's maybe already in the market. I do think, like with the in-season tournament, for example, there were some motivational things. There were some number of things that kind of gave us a little bit of an advantage, or at least some spots that we were like, I think we want to look for this, or like this is a spot that we want to look for. Um, I sometimes it's hard because I'm like, I don't know, like, if this number would have really been different, or like if we just bet the number like that was already, that already moved. So it's like we took Boston at like minus 25.5, right? So it's like, if we did that on any other night, is the number really any different? Given the same spread, the same scenario, the same teams, like, I don't know. Like, we don't have that to really go off of, right? But we did have the number that was available to us. We took it and it hit. So those are a couple things like where I'm not like worried about putting an edge out there. Like, if I think that, this is something that we can take advantage of, this is something that we can bet. Like, I'm not so selfish with it that I'm going to keep it, because I think that these lines are going to move anyway. Like, I know early in the season, we talked about Victor Wembanyama's turnovers regularly, and they just kept moving it up and up and up, and we hit it like numerous times, and we just stopped. And I felt like the edge was gone there. Do I think that the line moved extra because we talked about it? No. So I think it's like insane that some people think that, and that they want to gatekeep so much of the information. I don't think that it's necessary. I don't think that lines don't move, right? Like, like Victor was turning the ball over like 6 times a game. Like, obviously they're going to move the line. So like, I don't care. Like, if you guys all jump in with me at the same price on the opening day was 1.5, like, who cares? Like, we all made some money, we all cashed, like, it's fine. And that's why, like, I talk about it too. I don't think, like, when I think there's an edge, and like when we bet on something, I want to hammer the edge immediately. Like, I want to bet it hard, I want to bet it fast, like on the first time that I think that there's like a really significant edge. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I think these edges go away. I think that they evaporate. I think that they get adjusted to. And the first time you bet something, like when we did the other night, when again with the Phoenix Suns, um, like when you bet something like that, where it was like 31-1, right? Granted, it was a different spread than the circumstance with Boston last night, right? Uh, those things go away to a degree, because there's just the adjustment for it. It's like, oh shit, like we made a mistake, like we shouldn't have hung a line like that, like whatever. Um, I don't think that I think that the algorithms, the people that make the lines, the bookmakers, like they realize that they can make a mistake like that, and it doesn't have to always be like, oh, we're gonna get hit for like millions of dollars. It's like all of a sudden, like, the algorithms, or like how they set the lines. A lot of it's automated, a lot of it's computer generated. If they see a lot of action all at once on one line, they're gonna be like, oh shit, like we're moving this. Like, it's automatic. It's about liability. It's not about being sharp. Um, and I think that that's something that's important, right? So like, I know that some books might move things based on like where the action's coming from or like who it's coming from or the timing of it or things like that, right? But like when we bet on a prop, like if I give out a prop and like Rudy Gobert over 11 and a half rebounds, if I give out that prop and thousands of people, let's not, I'm not going to tap myself on the back that much, hundreds of people maybe bet it like all at once, then like, and I'm saying like, bet this on this book, this is the price, I like it. um those algorithms are going to move that line. It's just they don't want the liability. They're going to say like, well, we need to change this. Like there's a reason it's getting hit, and it's not, it's a lot of it's automated. It's not like you have somebody sitting behind the curtain like the fucking Wizard of Oz saying like, oh no, like we got to move this right now. Like maybe at the beginning, maybe when they start setting certain lines for certain games or things like that, but not on like a random prop, like a rebounding prop at any given point in time or on any given night. So that's just some of the thought process that I have with giving out lines, giving out plays, and it's not something that I think is that big of a deal. Like I don't care if somebody else is on the same play as me. I think it's stupid, like honestly, when people complain about that. You see it sometimes where people are like, oh, well, like so and so is on this first, or like Joe is on this first, or like whatever. And like, sure, like it's better, I think, if people can be creative. Like if somebody just saw my card and they were like, well, I'm just going to bet all these things and say that they're mine. Um, like I don't really care, but I think it's better to give out your own stuff because like I think it's a little bit, number one, it's a little bit, it's like disingenuous. But on a different note, I think that it doesn't help you with your process, right? Like you can't go from saying like, well, I'm going to just follow like everything Joe does, everything, um, like everything Brandon does, everything like Jim does or whatever. And it's like, I'm just going to follow these guys blindly, but I'm going to kind of like say that they're mine, because we all bet differently. Like we all have different thought processes. We all have different edges. And the problem is it's like if I go cold or something like that, then it's like I have to recalibrate. But like you don't know what I'm doing to recalibrate. So I think that that's like one of the things that I would notice. The other thing with it, and like I don't really care about it this either, is that I think that if people are all on the same line, sometimes I think it's because like we're all like making sharp plays, like we made the right bet, like we're picking the right spots, and a lot of people that have good process should end up on the same spots in a lot of the same circumstances. Sometimes it makes me nervous because I'm like, am I missing something? Like, are we missing something overall with this spot that we're all on it? Um, and I think that's a question to ask yourself sometimes. It's like, all right, well, like if Joe's on it, Brian's on it, Monotone's on it, like, is that a good, like, it's probably like, I think it would be good, but they're also just, you can always say like, well, like, is it so popular? Like, is it so chalky? Like, is there like a reason why it's this chalky in this spot? So those are just a couple of things that I think you can keep in mind, but I don't really mind like, and it doesn't bother me in the least bit if multiple people are on the same play. If I think it's nice, like if I put something in, I'm like, oh wow, like all these people are on it, like that's cool. It's or like vice versa. If I put it in early and then I see a bunch of other people kind of come in on it afterwards, I think it's also great because it's like, all right, cool. Like we all kind of had the same process, or we all kind of came to the same conclusion with a different process, which I think is fascinating, which I think is really interesting. So that's just a little bit of an aside on that. Um, but nothing crazy, nothing really crazy. The one thing that I will talk about from a prop perspective right now is one prop that I obviously really like is I love betting turnovers, and I love betting on rebounds. Uh, I think that with those two props in particular, two of the things that are most important right now are you obviously need to continue to look at pace, and you need to look at rebound chances, rebound opportunities, and you need to look at how opponents how opponents kind of limit or create those opportunities, whether it's either steals for turnovers, or if the pace is high, and those are all things that can impact the number. and if there's maybe going to be like an increased role or an increased usage situation. One of the ways you can look up how players do like with and without other people is you can go on NBA advanced stats. I think it's a little bit tough to navigate for people that aren't comfortable using their platform. But you could just hop on like StatMuse and just say like, how does this player like with and without, or like this whole team like with and without. But I think that's one option you can use. I think props.cash is also like obviously like the best and the easiest one to use. You can go in there, you can say like, how does this player play with this player? How does this player play without this player? And not track it by that. One of the things though that I think is super notable, and it's very difficult to determine without kind of going into some of the advanced data, is how pace changes with and without a particular player. And that's something you can pull from like NBA.com. And when you go on there, you have to go into like tracking and like the team data, but you can find like what a team's pace is with a player and without a player. And that can change the prospects for the rest of the team as a whole. So like when you look at a guy like De'Aaron Fox, the Kings play dramatically faster with Fox in the lineup than without him in the lineup. So when you take that into consideration, there might be like increased usage and an increased role for particular players, like a guy like Kevin Herter or a guy like Davion Mitchell or a guy like Domantas Sabonis. But if they're playing in a weaker offense and in a slower paced team, then it is going to change the nexus, and like it's going to change just how many like new opportunities these guys are actually going to have, because it's like, are they going to be high value opportunities without your point guard and De'Aaron Fox? And then are you going to have fewer opportunities because you're actually just playing at a slower pace than you had been playing with previously? So those are all a couple things to consider. One player that's like that is LaMelo Ball, who is going to be out, I'd imagine, for the next couple, maybe the next couple of weeks with the sprained ankle that he's going to have, that he suffered the other day. And it's going to create opportunities for guys like Brandon Miller, James Bouknight, Miles Bridges. But the quality of the offense is probably going to deteriorate to a certain degree. They still have Dennis Smith Jr., so like he's going to have some opportunity there. But when you look at the Hornets overall, they were already 26th in adjusted net rating, 24th in offense, 27th in defense, and they play at the sixth fastest pace in the league. So I think that it's possible that they slow down a bit, though, because they're playing at the fourth fastest in terms of offensive possession length, whereas they're at the 21st for defensive possession length. So without LaMelo, I think that the Hornets might start playing a bit slower. And if they play a bit slower, even though there's more opportunity, it's going to negatively impact the quality of possessions that those guys are going to have on the offensive end without that type of engine that's LaMelo Ball. And they're going to have fewer possessions to kind of take advantage of those open opportunities because they're going to be playing, in my estimation, a little bit slower without LaMelo as well. So those are just a couple things to think about as, the week kind of wraps up. We have a shorter week this week, and, we'll kind of come back to you with some best bets on Monday. But just to recap some of the spots, my absolute favorite play is the Denver Nuggets -3.5 against the Houston Rockets. I'll probably be looking at some Joel Embiid points as well against the New Orleans Pelicans. So that's kind of where we are here. And I do like the Phoenix Suns additionally against the Toronto Raptors. But producer Corey, how you doing today?
I'm sleepy, Joe.
Dude, I don't blame you. You got like a tree and everything today, huh?
I'm exhausted. I'm covered in sap. Holly jolly though.
How what kind of tree did you get?
We ended up with a Douglas fir, I believe.
Oh, that's a nice tree. Good tree.
Yeah, solid.
Did you have to cut it? Do you have to cut it down yourself?
Fuck no.
Oh,
I don't
who
live in
did
the
it? Did
boonies
they
like
bring a
you, dude.
chainsaw? Dude, I had to cut my own.
Yeah, nah. These are local
Then I
sap.
broke out. I had an allergic reaction.
I'm actually just realizing that like I was scratching my arm here and I'm feeling some raised skin and I'm pretty sure I'm breaking out in hives right now. That's fine. We'll
Yeah,
take
I
some
had
Benadryl before bed. That's okay. We can fix that.
my hands like had like all these like little red spots all over them and stuff. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I love the outdoors, but
Um,
goddamn, I was not built for it.
no, it's a rough time out there for everybody. Um, how ready are you for the Christmas season, Corey?
Uh, I bought a single gift so far, and it has just made everything else seem so daunting. Like, oh my god, that was one person. I'm fucked.
I know. I gotta buy some more stuff,
I'm
honestly.
so
Um,
screwed. I should have been buying
it
things
also,
months ago.
or at least on Cyber Monday.
There aren't even that many good deals.
No, there really aren't. I'm not even kidding. Like I feel like the deals are like fake deals too.
Do you?
Like, did you see those videos?
Yeah, they're fucked. Like, it's not like we had like a Black Friday in the early 2000s was like the movie The
Crazy.
Purge. Yeah, like
It was
it
awesome.
was actually worth like maiming or hurting
Going
another
out.
human being because you were getting that much of a discount. Now,
Yeah.
every fucking TV, regardless of size, is like under $500. Like, who cares?
Yeah, like I got a 75-inch TV and it is number one, it's enormous. Number two,
Oh
it's
boy.
fucking electric. It's fucking awesome. Like you can like everything. The wall looks crazy. It's absolutely insane. But like the TV, just not that expensive. And like I don't
Yeah.
understand. I'm not nuanced enough to understand the difference between all of the types of LED at this point.
Oh god,
Um,
I tried keeping up and it's fucking useless to me.
I was like, dude, like what? Like what are we talking about? Because I remember like
I have a
somebody in
bare
my
minimum threshold. Like as long as it's not below my shitty webcam, I'll be okay. 1080p
yeah.
is
Well, I
fine
was
for
like,
me. I don't care a
and
shit.
the thing is, 1080p is like a dinosaur at this point.
I
Like,
know.
like, it's just like
8K,
so.
4K, I don't care.
I, I can't keep up, and that was the thing. Like when we were picking out the TV, I was like, how bad could it be? Like people were like in my replies, they were like, well, they're like, is this one good? Like I'm not sure about the refresh rate on this or that. I was like, yo, I still remember like
I
being a
don't
kid, like
play.
watching shit on that little like 9-inch
Yeah.
TV. Like it's
Yeah,
fine.
your gaming isn't what it used to be, so I don't imagine your refresh rate's that fucking important to you.
No,
Um,
it's like not important at all. I
QLED,
was like,
OLED. All I know is that like I'm never probably going to buy What is it? Not Logitech. LG. They're like the most expensive.
yeah, LG's
That's
really
all I know.
expensive for whatever reason.
And
I
then
got a
like
high
Samsung's
sense.
right
I think
behind
it's
them.
fine. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's fine. Like
Those
I
Roku
was a
TVs,
Vizio
I
guy. I
gave a
had some
test drive on one of
TCLs.
those.
Yeah,
Perfect. No
it's
problem.
awesome. Like
Yep.
they're telling you to like set up the different HDMI ports. I'm like, I don't need any anymore. I just don't need them at all. It's awesome.
Grow up
It's
and
the
plug it in, you
best.
fucking losers.
Exactly. Um.
So yeah, I'm not looking
So
forward to more Christmas shopping.
yeah. Well, maybe get somebody a TV.
I I, I literally have to. That's the thing I have to
uh,
do.
it's just another drop in the bucket. But Corey, what do you got for us? What do you have for our recommendation this week?
My recommendation was to start your holiday shopping now before you really like just compound the pain and have to do it
Fair.
3 weeks out from the big day. And that's only one paycheck for
Oh
those three
no.
weeks. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself. Start now. Do a little bit, even like
Yeah.
I did. It sucked, but I did a little bit. I did something.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
you gotta do some a little bit in advance. I
yeah. I'm
I
also
try
going
to
to
do that.
recommend movers.
Oh, you had them right,
Yeah, I'm fucking washed up, dude. None of my
dude.
friends want to move
It's
my stuff for a free pizza, and I don't blame them.
no. There's no. You can't do it anymore. I had Tay help me move. When I moved from like one apartment to the other because it was like in the same complex. Never, just
Yeah, that
literally
was a
never again. It was awful.
what a
It was
logistical
awful.
nightmare that must have been.
Just absolutely horrendous. Like it's
How
just
much would it
not
have
worth
been to
it.
get
Like just
movers?
not even that much. It was like I think like
I'm
seven
sure
hundred
they would have been
bucks
like,
maybe.
yeah, because it's so short, you have to hit a bare minimum of this much. So like they could probably
dude,
do
it
it in
wasn't
2 hours,
even.
but you probably got to pay for 4. I can see them
Yeah, well, that
doing
was the
like
thing.
some
They were
shit
like,
like
you have to
that.
pay. Yeah, they were like, you have to pay for our travel time. I was like, what travel time? I was like, we're going from like one building to the next, and they
Yeah,
said, well, no, like our travel time, like
shut the
for us
fuck
to
up.
get there. I swear to God, I was like, what the?
That's
I
so
was like, you were
stupid.
down the street, like.
Yeah, people tried. Like I was getting quotes, and people were trying to pull that shit, and then I found some place that was like really close by, and I think the owner like knows my uncle or something. Those guys, like, they
Classic.
gave me the receipt before they left. They were like, "Yeah, all right, we went till about, we'll call it just 1 extra hour. Here you go." And I was like, "Oh, thank God." But yeah, they
Yeah,
weren't
you're like,
charging
all
me. They
right,
weren't
this is
like
good.
waiting to get back to like the fucking warehouse to put the truck back and then charge
No,
me
like
for
they
that
wanted to
time.
go. They
No,
wanted to
they
go.
were like, "Hey, it's only 4 o'clock. Like, we're getting out an hour early today. This is fun."
It's awesome. Absolutely
Yeah, don't
electric.
move shit by around if you can afford it. Fuck it.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it.
And if you can't, save
I
up
am
and then
gonna.
use it.
That's also true. Like you just don't want to do it yourself. I am gonna recommend chicken Milanese. I had it the other day and I love it. Like it's like it's like fake healthy salad. Like it's fake healthy because like they put like the arugula on top, you know, and like maybe like a little bit of bruschetta on it, and it's literally just the thinnest chicken cutlet you could possibly ever have. And like the thinner the cutlet, the better. You know, like it's the best.
I have a controversial
You have
take
some
here.
on what?
I like a juicy cutlet.
Do you?
Yeah,
I
soup.
don't mind. I my concern. I think okay. Let's put it this way. I I think it's much more difficult to get a thick, juicy cutlet than a thin cutlet.
Also, your intentions with that cutlet will matter. Sandwich, yes,
Yeah.
obviously thin. Off the
Yes.
sandwich, like if there's a chicken cutlet on a plate, I want a nice boy, not
Like
like a full breast. Maybe fillet it
I would
once
say,
and
you
count it
butterfly
away.
that shit, right? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was
no,
say
I'm
you
good.
can't
I'm
like
good. You know,
just
I'm fucking, I'm nice with the knife.
having the full breast is crazy. Like I was say, like you can't like imagine just like cooking that and just like
Nah,
slapping it on a plate. No
nah.
way. No
There's no
way.
way you cook
But I
that thing all
had.
the way through and like don't fucking torch the whole thing.
Are you
It's too thick.
I say yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, are you a like you have to cut the chicken to make sure that it's cooked type of guy,
Oh, I
or do
always
you just
look.
know when it's cooked? Yeah, I
You have
almost always
salmonella one
look.
time. Oh no. While I'm cooking it, I'm good. I know.
Okay,
I'm I spent a lot of time in a
fair.
tiny kitchen.
All right,
But
yeah, that's reasonable.
when I receive the chicken from someone else, I'm
Oh,
taking a
right down the
bite
middle,
right
right
away.
down the middle,
Right
right down
away.
the middle. I
Yep.
guess that's
I'm
one of
not
the
cutting a
problems
nibble
with
off the
like,
side. You're right. Down the center. What's going on in there?
yeah, like I need to know in the middle right now.
I
But
have
I did have a nice
salmonella
chicken
phobia.
Milanese. I've never had salmonella, so
Me neither. I've
I'm
just
definitely
seen it and I'm
not.
like, wow, that looks awful. I
I'm definitely
definitely
not
don't want
trying to
that.
get salmonella. It
Looks
sounds pretty
terrible. Definitely
shitty.
don't want that. Yeah.
Yeah, like would not recommend salmonella. Um, but no, so I had that. I enjoyed the chicken Milanese, and what the other thing that I was going to recommend is I was going to recommend pie, like
Hell
fruit
yeah,
pie.
dog.
Like Jenna made a blueberry pie the other day. It's fucking electric. But the thing is, what I like about her fruit pies are they don't run, like, you know, like when you get a hot pie, like a fruit pie, and
Yeah.
like the liquid runs. I hate that. I
And then
hate
the
it.
crust just collapses in on itself. Yeah.
It's the worst.
It's
You
too
got to get
watery.
yourself like it's got to be like a thick pie, like thick with multiple C's. Is that still a
Mm.
thing? Do the kids still say that? But
The kids
that's
are
the
going to
kind of
have a
pie that you
field
got
day
to
with
have.
what you're saying right now.
Are they?
It's just been line after line after line. But keep going. Keep going.
Somebody quote
Hit us
this.
up on Twitter,
Uh,
kids.
yeah, let us know. Let us know. Translate this part for us. Um,
Clip your favorite part.
hey, we do have an LLC now, so if anybody wants to be an intern, hit us up. We could
Yeah, I'll make
definitely
you do
use an
my
intern
job and
for
just
some of
fuck
these.
off.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. You can make TikToks for us. So, but anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
the
You
point
got
of
to get
this
an answer
was,
who can compete with my account. Okay,
yeah,
that's going to be the litmus test. If you can pass like what I've done on TikTok while only fucking with it while either stoned or taking a shit or both, you
or
could be our
both, yeah.
intern.
Corey, you should recommend this page.
It's pretty under wraps. No one knows it's me except for like a select few people.
How many
Maybe one day
followers
I'll
does that one
reveal it.
have
Maybe
now?
on Christmas. You know what? Our Christmas episode, I'll reveal my TikTok account.
Okay, it'll be
Let's see. I
perfect.
actually haven't
It'll
looked
be
in a
some
while.
content for
Let's take a
everybody.
look. I have only 3,500 followers, but the views. Who follows? Got millions of views.
That's the thing now. Like nobody follows, everybody just views. So
I don't follow anybody.
with that though, I don't I don't follow anybody on TikTok. No, I no, I follow
It
Meat
seems
Dad.
it seems like I'm like it seems like I'm spilling the beans on something, so I just don't follow anybody.
Yeah, I'm like I don't want to do that. It's unnecessary.
It's weird.
But what a couple things you guys can follow and should follow. Obviously, follow us on all of our platforms that we have. You know, whether it's Spotify, Apple, whatever. Um, Also, you need to follow us on the YouTube channel. So you guys might have been watching us this whole time, but make sure you follow us, subscribe. It's the new channel. You get to see us. This is actually one of the pieces of merch that we've been working on. We got like, the pocket tee with like the Cash That logo on it. So like, it's not bad. It's pretty comfy. It's comfort colors. Like I got to order Corey another one because Jenna stole his. So that's just
Fine.
the way it is. That's the way it is
Nothing I
right
can do
now.
about that.
But if you guys think that you want these, take a look, check it out on the YouTube channel. Let us know, and like we'll see if we can get a store up, and kind of start distributing them with the logo. Like whether it's these shirts, maybe a hat, maybe a mug, a couple little things,
A
but we'll try to get
slogan.
that
What's your
store
favorite
set
thing
up
that
for you.
Joe's ever said?
Yeah, cash that.
Back
So
end of an
with
ass to
that though,
ass.
guys, hey,
Who
it's
would
the
have wore
back end of
that?
the ass to ass. um, but guys, once
Sorry, it's
again,
been a while since I heard that one.
it's been a minute. It's been a minute. Once again, though, guys, this podcast is brought to you by our good friends at props.cash. Make sure you sign up for that first month with Delara25 for 25% off. And you guys can double check and make sure that your team, see how players are performing. You can check out how their rest is. You can check out how they play on one day of rest, 2 days of rest, or on the back end of an ass to ass, and see how they perform with absolutely zero rest. So, there's so many different tools, there's so many different filters, there's so many different aspects of props.cash that you can use. I highly recommend it. I think it's absolutely instrumental to your success as a bettor. And you need it to know how your player, how your pie is going to perform on an ass end of an ass to ass. And with that, let's cash that.